Newswatch with Marianne Zadra and Brian Parker.
Good evening. Premier David Peterson says Ontario will establish a one-man task force to study illegal drug abuse in the province. It's hoped the study will recommend improvements in fighting drug abuse.
Peterson says he wants the province to do everything it can to prevent another death like Benji Hayward's. Last May, Benji went to a rock concert. He dropped acid. His body was found days later in Lake Ontario. At the month-long inquest into Benji's death, there was some amazing testimony about children and drugs. This undercover police officer said motorcycle gangs are selling drugs to kids at rock concerts. Other police testified children as young as 10, 11, and 12 are taking LSD. Benji's friend Eric testified drug programs at schools don't really work. He says kids still take drugs. So one of the key recommendations handed down by the inquest last week was that the province have a task force study into drug abuse in Ontario. Today, the Premier obliged. He says the drug problem is very serious. He wants to know how well we're dealing with it.
Are we making effective use of the schools in these problems, to address these problems? Are we educating people properly about the risks? What should be the mixed jurisdiction, as you know, with respect to the federal government on prosecution, because now drugs are prosecuted by the federal government. How are police forces working effectively and cooperatively?
The NDP say Peterson is stalling.
There's a very big fundamental social problem at the root of this, and the Premier ought to be getting to the basis of that, rather than simply setting up a phony little quick review of what's going on in the field and expecting something substantial to come out of it.
The task force will report its findings in 2 months. The Premier says he wants to move quickly on the drug issue, which appears to be becoming a political issue as a result of the Hayward inquest. Lynn Whittam, CBC News, Queen's Park.
We'll have more news later tonight. Next, Brian has sports.
Got CFL football action coming up next as the Tiger Cats can move into a tie for first place with the Argos tonight at Exhibition Stadium. Hamilton heading in tonight just a couple of points back at Toronto for first place. The Argos' only loss this season was to the Tiger Cats back in July, 29-24. We'll have it at 7 o'clock. Canadians had a better day today at the Players' Challenge tennis tournament going on in Montreal. This is the first #1 seed, Martina Navratilova. She had an easy win over Susan Mascarin of the States, 6-2, 6-3. As for the Canadians, Helen Kelsey beat Katarina Churet of France, 6-3, 6-2. Carling Bassett Seguso, she also won today in straight sets, 6-2 and 6-1. The 1991 Baseball All-Star Game is coming to Toronto. It will be played at the new Dome Stadium, and it was a trade in baseball today. The Dodgers sending slugger Pedro Guerrero off to the St. Louis Cardinals in return for left-handed pitcher John Tudor. We'll have more sports later. The weather forecast is next.
It looks like there's some rain on the way. Clouding over tonight, a low of 15 degrees. Cloudy tomorrow with showers and isolated thunderstorms. A high tomorrow of 30, an overnight low of 8. The outlook for Thursday, sunny skies once again. A high Thursday of 28 degrees, an overnight low of 12. There's no chance of rain overnight, but there's an 80% chance of rain tomorrow. The present temperature is 25 degrees. Please stay tuned for more local news and sports tonight on Newswatch at 11 o'clock.